everybody. We are going to do a New York Pro wrap-up. Me, James, and Ben is going to join us in a minute. But before we start, we're going to cover a little bit of James prep. So you're down. You said you're down in calories. What are you at now?
Oh, do you know what? Let's be real. I don't know what calories I'm on, but the food.
If you had a guess, are you like at 4,000, 3,000? Like where are you at?
I would say on my lower day, probably closer to the 3,000 mark. Maybe actually just below. And in the higher day, probably more upper threes.
How many high days a week are you having now? One?
It's really dependent on what the body does. Patrick's a very daily kind of guy, so every day I'll send him shots. And like one week we might not have one for like 4 or 5 days in a row, but this week we had 2 in a row because weight dropped quite nicely, and then now I'm on a low again. So it's just dependent on what's happening, really.
Are you noticing as like what I'm noticing is as I get, and this is true with all my preps. Once my body gets into like a certain zone, my depletion happens a lot faster.
Yeah, and you can afford to actually have a few more high because your body's doing its thing. Yeah, so that's what I suppose this week's trying. It's kind of the conversion period now. You know, you can have 2 days in a row on a higher calorie intake and body weight still goes down.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 weeks ago that wouldn't have happened. It would have gone up quite dramatically.
What is your high day for carbs? Like 4, 5, 600?
Yeah, I would say it's probably like 550, something like that. Off my head, it's close. It's pretty close to 600.
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that, but when I do have a cheat or a high carb, I notice like 3 days later it's gone.
Yeah,
like it's not.
I get, I'm like, I bet me and you are similar. What happens with me is like I get a bit water retentive for about 2 days.
Yeah,
and then bam, day 3, weight's below what it was, and actually harder and fuller for it.
What I notice is like, let's say I have a cheat Saturday night. Sunday, I look better. I'll gain like a couple pounds from the cheat.
Yeah.
And Sunday, I'll look better, but I'll still be dry. Yeah. But I'll be retaining water throughout that whole day so that when I wake up Monday morning, I'm actually even heavier. And now I'm like smooth a little bit.
Okay.
And then it takes me till Tuesday for all that water to come back off and I look good again.
That's the thing that's like coaches or yourself, you have to take into account. How long does it take for your body to do that part? Because some people can eat today, tomorrow be dry. Some people eat today, be holding water tomorrow, and the next day be looking good.
Yeah.
So that's those finer tweaks in the last few days where you have to be very understanding of the human body.
Yeah.
Because we're all different, aren't we?
For me, I noticed it's dependent on the cheat. Mm. If the cheat is like, for me, if it's like a heavier cheat, like if I went in on some food, then it takes me a day of retaining water, then a day to get off the water. And then the third day I look good. Right.
So, like for example, let's say you have pizza. You find pizza the next day, you'd be a bit water retentive.
No, so this
you feel like you're dry the next day.
No, this is exactly what happens. So let's say like I weigh 265 Saturday, right? What's up, Ben? We're just describing cheat meals and how like what happens to our body after.
Already talking about food.
Yeah, we. So
I'm up a lot of fucking weight today. Jesus.
Wait a minute. So if I'm 265 and I do a pizza, right? I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be like 266, 267. But what will happen is from all the sodium in the pizza, I'll start retaining water the entire day on Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
So Monday, I'm actually even heavier. Like Monday, I might wake up at like 68.
Yeah.
And then by Tuesday, I have dropped all the water. I'm back down to like 65 or 64 and I look like perfect.
Okay. So yeah, you're like a 2-3 day turnaround guy.
Yeah. Unless if it's a cleaner cheat, like I just had like homemade burgers or something like that.
Quicker.
I wake up the next day like a pound heavier and I look good and I'm dry and I never get that water retention. It's just if I eat something like super heavy in sodium, then I get that like day of water retention.
The water retention is it can play such a havoc on your mind if you're not very understanding of what we do, because you can literally look in the mirror the day before and be like, I'm on track. And then, if you're someone that's not really used to that look, you can look in the mirror the next day and think, shit, I've gone back 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at today. I was 240. I was 247 yesterday morning, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing a 2-day, not crazy low, but 2 high days.
Yeah.
This morning I was 259, and I'm like,
how did you fucking? You definitely ate more than you're supposed to.
No. No, I didn't. I had 200 grams of carbs with every meal. No fats.
With every meal?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And then I was adding salt to every meal and drinking 8 liters of water, or 2.5 gallons.
So you had 1,200 grams.
It was expected. No, 5 mils. 5 mils.
Okay,
1 mil
so
less.
so 1,000 grams.
Because I had a
still.
Yeah, and then today is 150 grams of carbs, but and it's only 40 grams of protein per meal, so it's 150 grams of carbs and then 15 to 20 grams of fats with every meal for 5 meals. And I get a cheat this evening as well. I get a cheat tonight.
You're gonna be fucking like 270 by tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm training chest with Hunter. I'm training chest with Hunter tomorrow. So
that's why he's done it. That's why he's done it. He's got a peak.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit fucking Dyer's Eye tonight, and I'm going to wake up. Fuck you.
You got to look good for that. You got to look good for that with the champ.
Okay, so I called you guys so we can get into the New York, and I don't want to waste too much time talking about our shit.
Yeah.
Because I just want to do a quick 20-minute, half-an-hour video about the New York because Ian is getting roasted.
So
by a lot of fucking people online, and I think we need to help justify or not justify. I mean, we just need to be honest about what we think about what happened.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up some photos so we can kind of start talking about what happened yesterday.
Of course.
What did you guys think? This is yesterday's lineup. I'm on, for those of you who, just so I don't use this page without giving him a shout out, Sulios. It covers a lot of the bodybuilding stuff. This is the North Americans. Yeah, he covers a lot of bodybuilding stuff. So you should, if you guys want to check out his page, you can kind of get caught up with the latest news.
Yeah.
But anyway, down here we have some of the lineup shots. This is from the night show, I think. Yes, it is. So, okay, Ian won. Justin Rodriguez took second. Who was third again?
John
De La Rosa was third. Then
Patrick was sixth. Hassan was fourth.
Hassan was fourth. Okay, so let's just
Max Charles was fifth, and Patrick Moore was sixth.
Wait a minute. Let's just start with the top three.
Yeah.
First, do all three of us think Ian should have won?
I do. I personally do. I had him winning after I saw the actual prejudge.
Okay, why? Explain to me why you think you had it. And I'm not attacking. I just want to know your thought process.
No, of course. I just felt that if you were to take the front shots, I think he skimmed the front shots. Side shots, I think he skimmed. I don't think he won any of the back shots because I think Justin and John might have been superior from the back. But I think that's the majority of the shots there won. So I think literally it was just a shot-for-shot thing, and he won the majority of shots. I still think, without going too deep, I still think from the back there were some other bodybuilders that were superior, but from the front and side, Ian was definitely, in my opinion, the front guy for that.
Okay, Ben, what do you think? Who do you think? You think Ian won?
Yes. So I initially had Hassan winning when he first walked out.
Yeah.
Right. And
let me bring up a picture of Hassan. So this is a tiny picture.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry. Go on, Ben. Go on, Ben.
As the prejudging went on, Hassan seemed to fade. And I think that's what really let him down. And that took him out of the picture for me. And then I think it was between Justin and Ian and John. Well, yeah, those top three. I think if it had gone Justin's way, people wouldn't be arguing. I can see an argument for both.
Well, let's just stick to your opinion.
My opinion is Ian edged 1 or 2 shots more. Everything from the back, Justin won, but especially the side shots, Ian's very dominant in those. Yeah, and I prefer him from the front a little bit more. There's something. Justin is very, very wide across his delts, but although it carries that taper, I just think his midsection was a little too much on the front shots.
Okay, so this is my of just the top. I'm not going to give everybody, but we'll talk about just Ian. So I think if we go shot for shot, I actually don't think Ian wins. I don't think that's the way. That's not always, to me, the way I judge a bodybuilding show. I think if you're looking at overall look, Ian is probably the most. If we're let's say it's a scoring system out of 10, Ian is like 8.5s or 9s across the board. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he's nowhere less. He's nowhere less than an 8.5 or a 9 in every department.
Consistent.
Right? Whereas if you look across, like if we take John for example, he's obviously first he's smaller in stature. Second, I don't think his conditioning was as good as Ian's. And then if we take Justin, who I actually had winning, I actually thought Justin was the winner of the show last night until I took a really, really closer look at the pictures. And what I noticed is his arms are a little smaller than Ian's, and his stomach is actually, I don't want to say distended, but it almost had like a film of water over it. So like his conditioning was incredible. Like if you look at his back shots, right, his conditioning is amazing. But it's just the stomach had like, if you look at the stomachs, right, look at Ian's stomach here.
Yeah.
And then look at Justin's stomach. And because the IFBB has gone so far in like the waist is such a big deal now, I think that hurt Justin more than anything else.
Yeah. That's a very valid point.
It's not a big waist though.
No.
Right,
but it's not. But if you look at this shot, look at Justin's waist in comparison to John, Ian, and Patrick.
Yeah.
It's bigger. And it's not.
You know what I mean though? Like if you take, like I feel like that's really not unfair. I can understand and I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I just don't think it's
okay. Can I clarify my point a little bit? So coming from somebody with a thicker waist, I have a thicker waist. So I look like Justin. Like that's what my waist looks like when I'm in condition. I think because the pendulum has swung so far with the whole distended waist thing, that it's become a really focal point for judges.
And that's what my point was when I said it's unfair.
But all I'm saying, it is unfair. But all I'm saying to you is, if I'm being really picky, that's the only thing I can pick out of Justin's physique that would have marked him as second instead of first.
My thing with Justin is because he's got such a large upper body, I think the balance between top and bottom is a little bit less balanced than Ian top to bottom.
I can see that.
I think Ian's quads are exceptional, and he's thick up top as well. Justin's so wide up top that to match that width on his shoulders, you have to have some absolutely ridiculous quads. So although his quads are probably just as big as Ian's, because his width of his shoulders, it kind of subtracts a little bit from how good his legs perhaps actually are. Yeah. And I know that again, that's not like me knocking him at all. It's just when you look and you judge, those are the things that come to your attention.
Well, I mean, it's clear here if we see Ian and you see Justin, you see this is Justin's definitely wider.
Very wide.
But because he's wider, Ian looks more balanced.
That's what I mean. Like having James's point, having a standout freaky body part detracts from flow. Sometimes.
It can work against you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really think in my opinion, like I wanted Justin to win because he looked so freaky and because he hasn't competed in a while. And I was like, wow, you know what? He really brought it. It just, the stomach kind of threw me. Cause I was like, in some shots I noticed it just wasn't as hard as the rest of his body. It had a film covering it. And I think that really held him back. And then people say Ian's conditioning was bad because of this. And I'll show you guys something. So if you look at Justin's glutes here, and you look at John's glutes, and you look at Patrick's glutes, right? You see they're all striated, right?
Me and you are going to agree on this.
Yeah, and then you see, and I said it yesterday in the prejudging live commentary. See Ian how he's posing?
Yeah.
It looks like he's not in shape because his glutes aren't striated.
Yeah, he's choosing the wrong display, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's chosen to push. For those of you who don't know, he's chosen to push his glutes outwards a little bit, and what that does is increase the size of this adductor here in the inside of his hamstring. It makes it like a little bit wider when you do that, because I did that at one show for that exact reason.
Yeah.
But what I noticed afterwards in the photos is it looks like I'm not in shape.
Yeah.
So I never did it.
If you see, you can see Patrick in that shot. You can see Patrick's hips
crunch under.
Forward, right?
Abs are actually like pulling your waist under so that your glutes are flexed.
Yeah, you can see you can see Patrick here. You see John. Both have them tucked under, pelvic bones tucked underneath them. Yeah. And Ian's got it pushed out, and that's to make his legs look bigger. And you can tell he's in shape though, because if you go to the next slide, his glutes are his glutes are peeled, right? So
you know the only bodybuilder that seems to get away with standing like that is Lucas Osladil.
Yeah, he can still have that striated look, even when he's standing like that. So that covers that. What do we think about John in third? Did De La Rosa deserve third?
John's kind of not that dissimilar to Justin in terms of like that front, that kind of front shot crazy width front double bicep. I don't know, they're quite similar, but then Justin's just a slightly bigger man, so you could say that's why.
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like John's really balanced.
I do, but I think like if make them both do a front double.
That's a front double. Yeah.
Yeah, and look at the two of them there. It's very like they could almost be like related.
I know what I mean? I kind of see what you mean. Yeah.
And I think just because a little bit of height extra to Rodriguez, a little bit more. I would say the tan's actually slightly more polished, and the ab separation in that shot's a little bit deeper. He's just slightly edging him. John looks fantastic, don't get me wrong, like, and he can win any show. But I just think, like you said, Justin's just nailed it with the crispiness, especially from the back.
I think Max could have had an argument for third.
Let me try and find another photo here. I think
because and on the back shots, I think the two best back shots were from Justin and from Max.
So this is a photo of the top. This first call out is seven guys.
Yeah.
We have Justin over here, Patrick. Let's cover Patrick real quick because a lot of people, I saw some people saying Patrick should have won, and I just want to say one thing: pictures are hard to display what's in reality because pictures are 2D. So if you look at Patrick in 2D,
he's great.
He's just as wide as everybody. He looks just as big as everybody. But when you look at him in 3D in real life, you'll see that he's not as thick as Ian or Justin or Hassan or even De La Rosa. So I think Patrick was absolutely incredible, amazing flow, amazing condition, but he just he didn't have the size to compete.
Yeah.
Do you guys kind of agree with that?
I do. And I knew he'd sneak up there somewhere just because he is good. But I knew that he wouldn't be able to. It's like the Olympia again, isn't it? There's some big boys here. And these big boys are going to be the boys that are from 8th place upwards. Do you guys know where Patrick ended up finishing? 6th or 7th? He's in 6th. He beat, Antoine got 7th.
Okay, so then we go from, well, actually, let's just discuss that real quick. Do we think Patrick should have beaten Antoine?
I think Antoine looked really good, but I still think just some of the weaker areas of his physique are slightly weaker than Patrick's.
Yeah. I feel like
Patrick might be small, but it's more complete.
Yeah. I think it's weird too. I think a lot of people had Antoine winning. I think Antoine's great. I think that's more of an emotional decision though, because Antoine, as conditioned as he was, as amazing as his posing is, as his charisma is, I think he's just too tall still, and he needs to fill out his frame more.
No, Antoine looked. That's the best I've seen Antoine on stage, but he wasn't
great.
Fucking winning.
He
looked great, but there's no argument for him to win that show.
Look, we can see very clearly here. Like, here's Antoine and here's Max, and you can see there's more gaps in this physique than there is in this physique, right? Yeah. You can kind of see the difference between somebody who's filled their frame out versus somebody who still needs more muscle.
Yeah.
If Antoine repeats what he did in this last offseason again, he starts to really start filling those gaps in. He started to do it.
I'm going to say the same thing I said in the prejudge live cast. I think if Antoine builds his back, it will solve all his problems, because Antoine's problem is thickness. And I think once you build a big back, you automatically have that thickness. It just your back is what gives you that. You can have the biggest chest in the world, and if your back is shit, you're always going to look at as being thin.
His back weakness, if you like, is more noticeable on his front shots, right?
Yes.
On his front double, his front relaxed. Front relaxed. I mean, that's where you really see the difference in that back density.
You're 100% right, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. When he pulls up for a front double, it kind of looks almost like his waist is too long because those lats don't come down and frame his body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's Antoine. So we're happy with Antoine in 8th or 7th or wherever he placed.
Yeah, and again, I'll add to that. I do think he looked incredible.
Yes, he brings a lot of fun. I watched his routine; it was really fun. He was like really energetic.
Yeah,
I think people love Antoine, but if we're just doing bodybuilding judging criteria, that's it's a little different. So
I mean, it was, if you look at it, Justin, Patrick, Hassan, and Antoine, they're the best versions of themselves I've seen on step on stage.
Yeah,
they've all made improvements, massive improvements.
Yeah. So then we got the outlier here that I think a lot of people are talking about, and I think what I've seen is most people are angry about, which is Max. So Max was 4th.
Mm-hmm. No, 5th. Yeah, Hassan was 4th.
Oh, Max was 5th.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see Max in 5th. I got to be honest with you guys, man. I like during the live cast, I think I said I had Justin, Max, and Ian in the top 3. I think I said that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did. A lot of people felt that way.
I think I still feel that way, to be honest with you. I really feel like Max keeps getting kind of shafted.
He got fucked over at the Arnold. He got really overlooked in the Arnold, and I think he got overlooked here as well. I don't think he won, but I think he got overlooked.
See, the tough thing is this. I think this is how it's really tough because all these guys are my friends. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm just calling things objectively, right?
Of course.
I feel like Max's conditioning is better than John's. And I don't feel like John is so much bigger muscularity-wise than Max that his muscularity can overtake Max's conditioning.
I hear that.
That's why I see Max ahead of John.
Mm.
Okay. The other outlier is Hassan. Hassan is also capable of 3rd place. So now you have a Max Hassan who's better, right?
Yeah.
But I think because Hassan wasn't posing properly, he did himself a disservice.
Yeah.
He's not very excited on stage. He looks like he's kind of lackadaisical up there, and he didn't finish his back poses very well. And I think, people are like, well, I talked to somebody who said, well, it's not a presentation contest. I'm like, actually it is.
It is
exactly what it is. It's exactly entirely that.
Yeah, if you have all the muscle in the world, you don't know how to present it, there's a problem, right? So I feel like because of that, I have Max ahead of Hassan.
That's a fair point.
I think you could have gone Max, John, Hassan.
Max, John, Hassan. Oh, and like the 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think. Okay, so basically what we're saying is so how do you guys feel? You guys didn't really say how you feel about Max. I was just kind of rambling. James, what do you think about Max?
You wouldn't moan if he was as high as 3rd.
Okay.
Basically.
Why, what's the reasoning
though? Just because he brought it. He brought it, and there's an argument for him to be as high as 3rd, like we just stated. So,
when you say he brought it, you mean conditioning?
Conditioning. He's got the muscle. I like his flow. I think he's underrated. I even said this on our pre-kind of talk. I think he's definitely one of the top bodybuilders in the world. He's kind of got that Dexter Jackson, kind of round muscle. He's pretty. And I think a pretty physique like that often gets rewarded. And if it was someone else, they do normally. I think he will be getting rewarded soon. I think maybe just another show or 2.
Can I ask you guys a question? Ben, you can start.
Yeah.
Do you think he keeps losing? All the stuff I just said, I completely kind of might throw out the window only because his back is definitely a weak point comparison to the guys who beat him. Like
I was going to say his legs on his front shots are a little undersized.
That could also be true too. He's a little slight in the legs, but his back I think his back is the part that doesn't fit his body the most.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly at the Arnold, it was when he turned around that I thought the least of his physique. Like, I was obviously impressed, but I felt that is certainly an area a little bit like Hakim that needed more work.
Let me see here. So I'm on Buys and Tries.
Yeah.
Instagram page.
Max is the guy that stands there front on in a front relaxed and you think he's the winner.
That's right.
He's a Bieki kind of thing.
Oh, Lionel, don't get me started on Lionel Bieki. I love Lionel.
But that is the kind of, when they walk out and they stand there and their midsection's crispy.
Lionel Bieki should be Miss Olympia.
Okay, can we not? Let's stay focused on the show. Lionel Becky's not. Okay, here's
the love for Lionel.
Here's Max Jones. Yeah. So I see what you're saying with the legs, Ben. Like they're big enough, but it's almost like they're not developed.
Yeah, I'd get if you had a little more roundness on the outer.
Yeah, here.
It would really match his upper because that front double was nice.
I think he just needs to push his leg out a bit and do a little bit of a Sean Roden.
So does that? Wait a minute, guys. Is that enough then to put him in fifth? Like between
third.
No. He was a fifth, right? He placed fifth.
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm asking is the lack of leg development and the lack of back development enough for him to have been moved back to fifth place? Because you could say that's a big deal.
Yeah, because back and legs are the two biggest body parts. So perhaps, yeah.
Like if you look at this right here,
it's
amazing from like the waist to the shoulders, right?
Yeah.
But then if you cut that part off and you just looked at this, the lower body, you would be like, that guy needs more work.
I think it's almost like the insertion of his quads. They're quite low. Like he doesn't have. When I say low, sorry, I mean like the top sweep doesn't stick out high. It's not like a Roden-esque leg. Yeah, which kind of hurts. Like look at this guy's quads in the middle, man. For fuck's sake.
So then we have. Okay, so I guess we kind of jumped the gun with saying Max is third then, because if we're saying he's missing a couple body parts, that does kind of leave him in fifth, right?
They certainly can, yeah, definitely. Because if you look at obviously fourth place Hassan there, the body parts are there.
but Hassan, I think Hassan's conditioning wasn't as. He's not as conditioned as Max.
So what's more important? What's more important? That's what we're trying to debate.
That's where you play the game. See, this is how I look at it. I go, okay, how much better was Max's condition than Hassan's, and does Hassan's muscle outweigh that difference? And I don't think Max's condition is so far ahead of Hassan's that you can ignore the fact that he's twice the size.
Also, Fouad, what's an easier fix?
Well, the conditioning, of course.
Exactly. So if you've got the muscle, you're nearly there. If you're lacking body parts, you're not nearly there.
But I just mean, like, if we look at Max as a 10 out of 10 in conditioning, we're looking at Hassan as a 9 out of 10, correct?
Yeah,
right?
I think the more complete body here wins.
When the conditioning is that close. I think if Hassan was like off, then it wouldn't matter. It'd be like, okay, well, he's off. Like,
I think to beat someone with a better structure and muscle, you need to be as hard as Dorian.
Yeah, there's got to be a real significant gap in conditioning. Yeah,
you've got to look like you've literally gone to hell and back.
But I mean, that picture previously, the one of Ian, John, Hassan in the middle, that was from early on in the show.
Before he faded.
And Hassan looked great early on. So in that picture there, I would almost give it the win.
He's actually winning. Right? He's actually winning in that front shot there.
Off of that one shot, that one shot there, which is what I think a lot of people have grabbed hold of. They're grabbing hold of one or two shots. They're not looking at the show. Yeah. And I think that's the problem with armchair bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So are we saying Max should have, like, I don't know. What are we saying definitively? Max should have been ahead of Hassan?
No, I'm going to stick to what they did. I think Hassan having the muscle that Max didn't.
This is the final. This is the finals, Ben.
I've got a question then to James.
Yeah.
You have Hassan behind John or in front of John?
That's a fair call. Like if he placed ahead of John, I wouldn't have said anything negative. And vice versa, because I think they're just as complete as each other.
Yeah.
And their conditioning looked pretty similar, but obviously John didn't fade the way that Hassan did. So therefore, the placing for John was probably more because the endurance of his physique during the show rather than who's better.
I think Hassan's clavicles hurt him a little bit. He's kind of narrow. Like even though he's got more muscle than everybody, he's more compact.
Yeah, definitely.
He's one of those guys that on his Instagram, one picture of him on his own, he looks gigantic.
Yeah.
And he is a big, he's holding a lot of muscle in him. But actually, his stature, he's a pretty small guy.
Yeah, structurally, he's not
his bone structure is actually one of the smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because John, look at John there. John's not a big man, right?
Yeah, he looks like twice the size of him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered all the top 6 then, but we didn't put them in our order. So I'll let you start, Ben. Here's the top 6 right here. What was your final order of what do you think it should have been, or did they get it right exactly?
I think I would ask, this is tough. Again, like you said, I'm not particularly good. I'm not as close friends with all of them, but I am close friends with John. I would have just completely objectively Ian, Justin, Hassan, John, Max, Patrick.
What'd you say? Ian, Justin, Hassan.
Ian, Justin,
John.
Hassan. I would have fit basically the same, but I'd have flip-flopped John and Hassan.
I see. Yeah. I could see that.
But I think John on a slightly longer prep looks a little harder.
James, what do you think? Do you agree with Ben's assessment?
I can totally agree with his assessment, but I think what happened is why John is there still in the higher place, because I think he didn't fade. Because, like I said, I think that's the determining factor. If Hassan didn't fade in that show, then the result would have been different.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a caveat in. I didn't watch the finals. I'm only going off of what I saw in prejudge.
I'm gonna
mix it up, man. Come on, tear some shit up.
I don't like, honestly, man. People, somebody wrote on my YouTube like, "Oh, you guys are just siding with the judges. You guys change your minds like 10 times." Can I just say something? I was talking to Paul yesterday. Those of you who don't know, Paul Lozon's my training partner, and he's an IFBB judge. He did the prejudge commentary with us yesterday. Paul explained something to me yesterday on the way to train legs. He's like, people think it's so easy when you're sitting there at the judging table and there's 6 or 7 or 8 guys that all are phenomenal, and you're trying to place them. And he said, you're trying your absolute hardest to make sure you don't make a mistake, because guys are getting paid. It's their livelihood. It's their career, and you don't want to look like an idiot. And he's like, you have all these pressures, and he goes, nobody's trying to make the wrong decision. And then he explained to me, because I was adamant that I thought Justin had won.
Yeah.
And then Paul explained to me, he's like, look, in personal preference, I also had Justin winning. But he goes, if I look at bodybuilding judging criteria, because they're putting so much focus on the waist, I think Justin's waist hurt him, and that's why Ian won. And so when he explained it to me like that, I'm like, okay, I think that makes sense. And then when I look at the rest of the lineup, you can start to see holes in everybody's game except for Ian. Like Max, like we said, he's missing, he needs a little bit more size in the legs, needs a little bit more size in the back. Patrick needs a little bit more overall size. De La Rosa could have been a little bit harder. So you kind of can make a case that Ian was the most complete of everybody on stage.
Yeah, there's less things. Less things to pick apart.
If you had to tick what they don't have, the least ticks would have been on Ian.
That's my point, and that's why I say, like, if everybody's scoring out of 10, Ian's basically in the 9 department across the board.
Yeah. Right.
He's not 10. He's not 10ing anywhere.
Yeah.
But
the comparison, but yeah, you're right. The comparison between Justin and Ian has to be, well, they're both great, but where is
what's the weak point? What's the weak
point? Who has the kink in the armor?
And that's if you look at judging that way, that makes sense, because then you look at Max and you go, okay, if we're scoring 10s across the board, where's he score? Okay, conditioning, he's a 10, but muscularity, he's a 9, and then proportions, he's like a 6 or an 8.
And that knocks his overall attributes down.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like a fucking PC game, World of Warcraft. Attributes, and whoever's got the highest stats at the end of adding everything up is the winner.
And then you can do the same thing with Hassan. You're like, okay, Hassan, conditioning is a 9 or an 8, and presentation was a 7.
Exactly.
There's all these things you can start to pick apart with people.
I hope because like I said, he's doing the show in Vegas next weekend. I think. I don't know.
Who's that? Hassan.
Hassan. I fucking hope. I might even talk to Joe and say, like, he needs to open his back up. Like,
I talked to Chris yesterday. So Aceto calls me, because Aceto called coaches Hassan, and he said, "What'd you think of the show?" And I said, "Dude, I'm like, I'll tell you the truth. I'm like, I think Justin's winning." And he goes, "What'd you think of Hassan?" I'm like, "He's not finishing his poses." And he goes, and he's like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "I got to have a talk with him and stuff." And I'm like, I think it's a really big deal, because his back is incredible. Like, he's got all the muscle, and he's just not showing it.
Yeah.
It was very odd. He was like getting into position and then stopping.
He was stopping
really
halfway,
finishing it off. Yeah, it was odd.
Okay, so top 6. I think I'm gonna agree with. I think I'm gonna agree with Ben. You know what? I gotta agree with both of you guys. I think first and second were dead on. I think third and fourth could have flip flopped. Either way, I'm happy. Yeah. And then 5 and 6, I think, are right.
Yeah.
I've got.
They did do a good job, to be fair, and that's not us just kissing ass. This was one of them shows where they seemed to have judged it really well and thoughtfully.
And it was fucking close. Like, that's a competitive lineup across the top 6 or 7.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't really have to kiss ass, because I don't. I'm doing one more.
No, but no one has to.
No, I'm just saying. I'm doing one more show for fun, and Ben doesn't compete as a pro, so
yeah.
We can say whatever we want.
I've got to be more cautious.
Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think of the judges. Go on.
They did great.
Okay, so what do we aside from those guys? What do we think of everybody else? I mean, look at this shot.
I love that shot. I think that's a really great. Listen, he came away with some great gallery shots from that show, and that's something to be like. And it's not me being cheesy, but that's something to be extremely proud of. Because
it is
to have that up on your like fucking fireplace or whatever, to say that was me. That's a fucking good shot.
So
I know.
Go on. No, go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
I was gonna say, you know, when you're a kid and you get that at the end of the sport year, you get that kind of pretty token award, and it's the most improved player award. Yeah. Honestly, and it's not meant as a backhanded compliment. I think Justin and Antoine, from when I last saw them to yesterday, the improvements have been staggering, and I'm pretty excited for them both because I think they're both on a roll. And if they go away and repeat and do the same thing again next year, they'll come back. And I mean, Justin's already nearly there, but if Antoine does, like you said, he's 260, but if you have him at 270 on that back.
Even if he just puts 5 pounds on his back alone, he doesn't need
stage weight on it.
He doesn't need to do anything else. He just needs to put 5 pounds on his back, which is hard to do.
But those calves and legs are fantastic, honestly. Like, the body's fantastic, but that shot, I can look at that and I would be very happy to walk away with that shot.
You know, the one thing
I'm undecided. I'm undecided whose leg envy I've got more on, Eric or Antoine.
Eric who?
Fankhauser.
Oh, Fankhauser's.
That's when I was getting into bodybuilding, and Eric was on the scene. That was when he won his pro card. God damn! I've got that. I've got it saved on my phone. His the shot.
For those people who don't know, that's
one down. That's the one.
I love Eric's.
Look, okay, this is insane. These are legs, dude. This is not even comparable.
Go to the one, the one where he was an amateur though is almost more impressive. Like the one that he turned pro at. I can't remember what show it was at. It was these big ones. Yeah, there's a front shot of that as well in that setting, and I was just like, oh my god. Like I looked at that and I was like, it might be from a while ago, but when I looked at. He's one of those physiques where I looked at and I was like, it's not complete. Like, no, it's one that my eyes drawn to, and I'm like, I would want to look like that. You know, you get certain guys. Eric's my guy.
Yeah.
Look at that one.
Look at those legs. That's not even fucking real, man. Come on.
Calves as wide as your quads.
Yeah, look at this shit. My quads aren't even this big. This is fucking
mad, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway. Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so. What I was going to say about Antoine before we got off topic was I just want to say how proud he should be, because I know a lot of people know he had issues with drugs and everything. But when I met Antoine started hanging out with Dorian and the guys a few years ago. And I have a photo of him standing behind me in the locker room getting ready for a show in 2015. And he's literally looks like a guy who's never worked out before. Because he was just getting out of rehab and he's just getting back. And I'm like, he should be so fucking proud.
Definitely, mate.
You know, I think it's weird. I think all he did was take his addiction and change it to the addiction to bodybuilding, because
his slogan, because he was with Redcon at one point, they did a T-shirt for him, and it was "Pump is the cure," and he was using that as his like.
Yeah, he's had that for a long time.
He took that and he directed it over here. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, so before we go, I want to cover the North Americans real quick, just to one class. So this is Nick Walker.
Yep, freaky fucker.
Nick won his pro card yesterday, won the super heavyweight class and overall at the North Americans.
Yeah.
Is there any dispute of that? Because I thought this guy looked really good until I saw back shots. And then I was like,
I don't see any dispute. I think Nick's ready. I think Nick's ready to go and do a show in a few weeks.
He's doing He's doing Chicago apparently.
Exactly. I think that'd be great for him. Go in there, get in there while you can. Just do it. Fuck it.
I'm gonna give a little shout out to Nate Spig. I think Nate looks really good from when I last saw him as well.
Nate improves. Nate improves all the time. He's very good.
Where is he?
On the left in the turquoise.
This guy?
Put it this way. Last year or the year before, he wouldn't have any business standing next to Nick.
Yeah.
Now he's in top finishes at every show he does.
Now he's right there.
That's great. Yeah, it wasn't a bad class either. These guys all look pretty good. So
definitely,
Nick Walker should be proud of himself. What did we think of? You know what? I want to cover this real quick, even though we're not classic guys. Do we think Logan should have won?
I didn't actually really look at the classics on this. I wasn't that interested.
I wish I could find. I gotta be able to find a lineup here.
I saw that is it JB Swole, whatever his name is, the guy with the
I think so, yeah.
Box.
Yeah.
I do like his physique a lot.
There's Nick Walker again. Look at the fucking
muscularity. That's a very freaky bodybuilder.
That's a pro physique. Like it's just
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He really has worked on his midsection because last year he got pulled apart on stage because his midsection.
Look at this shit here. Look at this this box right here. It's lower.
It almost looks like this, but almost that back double. It almost looks like there's so much muscle he can't get back. Like it's almost too much.
You know what? I was focused. I was focused on this quad hamstring, and then I looked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at the fucking arms.
The
can't even. It looks like can't even get it back though. There's so much fucking tissue on that man.
I would be surprised. The only reason that guy wouldn't win a show is just because he's too freaky. But I would expect that to win a pro show before too long.
I think the only thing that's going to hurt Nick is he needs to bring this waist in more. Because look
how fucking big everything else is.
No. Listen, I need to preface all this with it's not my preference.
Yeah.
The IFBB has swung so far and so hard against the waistlines.
Right. But take this physique and put it 9 years ago.
This physique,
he has.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. But can he make it any smaller than that?
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. He'd have to lose a little bit of muscle, but he could.
I think he can create a bit better illusion. I think he can keep adding to that chest and shoulders.
Mate, I'm just looking at the triceps like fuck me.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Sorry, you were saying when you were competing.
What I was gonna say is when I was competing, the waists weren't a focal point, so this would have crushed everybody. He would have been winning shows. But now, because of the lineup we saw yesterday, look, the writing's on the wall. You saw it yesterday. Justin Rodriguez, I think, lost that show because his waist didn't look as good as Ian's.
So you're saying 10 years ago, Justin wins that show, right?
I think so.
That's why I'm saying I think it's unfair. It's not a big waist. It's just...
I would have liked to see... I'm looking at Nick, and I would have liked to seen him in that New York lineup.
Where do you guys think Nick would have done? How do you think Nick would have done in the New York lineup?
Probably top six.
I'm saying top six because he's like a sand but composed.
You think he beats Max Charles?
Probably.
You think he beats John De La Rosa?
No. Possibly. I think possibly.
I'd have had him probably fifth.
He could have been as high as fucking third. Come on, guys.
Now let me ask you again.
Let's not bullshit what is there. Let's not hide from the fact that this guy is not normal. There is no bodybuilder right now that is carrying that much tissue and has that. Look at the separation. It's not shit at all.
Do you think he beats John De La Rosa?
Quite possibly at that show because John wasn't his best.
How about Justin or Ian?
I think the matchup would have been him and Justin.
I think he doesn't touch Justin. I think he could beat John, maybe. I have to see him. It's weird. I have to see him next to each other because if I look at
that's a bad shot, Justin. Fuck you.
This is his front shot. Honestly, is I don't.
His legs are a little short. His legs are a little short.
Yeah, I don't love this.
I don't love it, but I can totally understand it's fucking freaky.
Well, of course, but I'm wondering what I'm only saying. I don't love it when I'm saying in comparison to De La Rosa. Right?
I don't know. I think that's. Listen, if he just put his arms down a little bit, and didn't lift his elbows so much, and didn't try to elongate the torso so much, I think he'd look like 10% better.
He's got Nathan Diaz torso like that.
No. But I think he's elongating his waist so it doesn't look thicker.
Yeah, but I think he could elongate the waist, but I think he could keep the elbows down a touch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if he just tweaked his presentation slightly, he would have been gunning for a top 3.
Think so, eh?
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to bullshit. I think this guy's a freak.
I don't disagree. He's got a ton of muscle.
I would not be happy. I would not be looking forward to standing next to that man.
I can say this for sure. It would be interesting to see him stand in the top 6 and see where they placed him.
Yeah,
he's in the top 6. He's in the top 6. I have no doubt.
Because he was in exceptional shape. He has every muscle, and there's a lot of it.
That's a bad shot.
That's like a mid.
He's not even. He's not in his pose there.
He's about to pop.
Oh, anyway, I'll let you guys go. I just want to see if I can find a picture of the classic because I feel like.
I want to say well done to the Bo Flex Diesel for winning the 212. I want to say well done to him because
he looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good, and he got second in Tampa, and obviously just like Ian, kept working and came back.
So this is the classic, guys. This is that.
He looks like Irish. The winner looks like Irish a little bit.
This guy, Logan Franklin here.
Okay, he reminds me of Irish. Irish. How do I pronounce his name?
Arapa.
Actually, now that I look at this, I think he did win. From that shot, anyway.
That's not a good shot.
That's not a good.
Not a lot going on.
That JB Swole on the right.
This guy.
Him on that shot.
This guy, yeah.
But he might be setting up still. You don't know. Like he might be about to finish that back double by, I suppose. It's a picture, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna say this guy won.
That's what I like. What's his name? I keep saying JB Swole.
It's right here, JB Swolestein.
But what's his actual name? Jason Brown.
Jason Brown.
I like JB Swolestein better.
Yeah, I do too.
Swolestein.
I meant the physique, not his actual name. I prefer, personally, from what I've seen, I'd have had him win, but especially on that rear double.
Yeah, like look at this and look at this. Huh.
Sure.
All right. Well, we don't really. I don't think we know enough. Can we just say also Jason Lowe? Congratulations.
Yeah, very very good show.
Congratulations, man. You come from fucking classic all the way to fucking 212, and then coming back from Tampa all the way to New York.
I was talking to Jason this morning because apparently he said he's qualified for theoretically on points for the Olympia now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With that second place, but he's unsure as to what to do because I think he wants to be very competitive. I think he wants to see what he can do.
He's
already done Olympia in the classic as well, so it's kind of.
Did you know what he weighed?
He told me. He said he was 203 pounds. I think.
If I was him, I would wait and put on the extra 10 pounds.
Yeah, that's what he was thinking. He was like, I can go away, put on some weight, and then come back next year.
And he's obviously good enough. He really needs to correct this pose too, because it's hurting his.
Yeah, 203 pounds on stage. Is what he said.
He's doing a rear lat spread on a front lat spread.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
he's shrugging his shoulders up, and it's making him look worse. You can see where Flex Diesel has got his shoulders drop down.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, good for him though, man. He's come a fucking long way, and actually, some people actually had him winning. I had him in second. Like I think Bo looked really really good.
Yeah.
As far as he was 11th. He was 11th in Tampa. You know that?
Yeah. No, I know. His conditioning is like a million times better. His conditioning here versus Tampa is like a million times better. He looks really really good here.
I got him winning that shot. Fuck.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple shots. There's a couple shots where he looks really good. I think he just needs more muscle. Like I said, if he takes the year and puts on that 10 pounds and comes in at 212, I think he'll be really dangerous.
Yeah.
He hasn't maxed out on it. Yeah, so Jason hasn't maxed out on anything by remotely as well. Yeah. I know that. So he has a lot of tools to use to put some muscle on, should we say?
Mm-hmm. Are you saying he hasn't dabbled in the good stuff yet?
He hasn't finished all the feats in the sweet shop.
I put it this way: when he did the Arnold last year, he was almost TRT dose-like cycles.
Well, somebody should tell him that nobody gives a shit on stage, and he should do all the drugs he can possibly do.
Fucking hell.
Listen, you don't get fucking points for telling the judges that I only took TRT. They say, "Oh, well, you should have done more because now you're
progressing."
Good boy.
I think he was just progressing at a good rate. Like he got that far, not needing.
I'm not. To, so.
I think in the last year he started to ramp some things up, but he's very fresh to it still. I think he's.
Ben's like the inside scoop, man. I love it. Like,
listen, Ben, I'm joking around, but I'm not joking around. I'm like, it's good that he's not using drugs, but nobody cares.
No, he is using them. I just
Nick Walker. He
hasn't abused them.
Okay, but Nick Walker's using all the drugs.
And I heard Nick Walker was natty.
Yeah, but it's like
I get exactly what you're saying.
If you took fourth instead of first, and you're like, yeah, but I only took TRT, they're like, well,
you should give a fuck.
You should have took more. That's like, that's it.
They should have TRT class.
Yeah, they should have, they do. It's called natural bodybuilding. They all fucking take a little bit of drugs. Okay, guys, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming on, doing the wrap up with me.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys want to add to it before we go? I want to say congratulations to Ian for fucking that New York Pro ring is pretty fucking badass.
Is it worth anything? Is what I want to know.
Who cares, dude? Can you imagine?
I care.
No, like
sell it.
No, but listen, you would sell it too. No, I've had a million fucking trophies, and I have one ring from the Canadian Nationals when I won the Canadian Nationals.
Oh, but you want the New York ring?
No, I'm just saying. Like, what my point is I love having the ring instead of the trophy.
But you're a promoter, so why don't you have rings for your show?
Because it's a fucking like a level 1 regional show. I'm not going to go buy a $500 ring to give away.
Oh, you don't have to be a $500. You get one of those ones you get out of a Christmas cracker. Give it one on.
Here's a plastic.
Just put your just put your name. Just like get a Sharpie and write Fouad on there.
I also actually before we leave, I also want to say one thing. I think people should fucking really take it easy on the guys who are competing.
Oh yeah,
because like it's really easy to be an armchair fucking quarterback and be like, oh, this guy sucks and that guy sucks, and man, just lighten up a bit. If the guy who's your favorite didn't win, just be respectful about it. Like,
and the judges as well.
Yeah. I just wish people were more respectful. Like, don't say, oh, fucking Ian sucks. Just say, I think my guy was a little better. Just be cool about it. Like, it's not that fucking easy, man. It's not that fucking easy to judge 6, 7, 8 guys who are all really, really, really close together.
Definitely.
And it's all personal opinion as well. Like, it's apples and oranges. Like Eric Fankhauser is one of my favorite physiques of all time. He has so many holes in his physique, but I personally love it. It's just
exactly.
You know, it's funny. I think that's what people do, and I think that's why people are saying like, "Oh, Antoine should have won." Right? Antoine's a good example. Yeah. Antoine is like a fan favorite. He's like the people's champion, right? And people love him because he's awesome online and he does a lot of stories and he's fun and charismatic.
Yeah.
But as far as judging criteria goes, and the other reason people love him too is probably the way they want to look. He's got a very classic shape. But as far as bodybuilding judging criteria, it's not there. And I think people need to separate the emotions
with what's actually the criteria.
From what's the criteria is.
Yeah, so, I agree. Well done to Ian, and well done obviously to Patrick as well. And I kind of said earlier, like I feel like it's a good omen for me.
Yeah, that's your coach too, right?
Yeah, like I love to see people perfect their. Patrick would be the first to admit they didn't get it perfect, but when you see them pull off a successful run like that, when considering a few weeks ago it felt like the world was fucking upside down. That's learning, and when you can see that a coach and a client are willing to work hard and learn, that makes you even more confident in the ability of both people. So, for me personally, going into like the next show, I know that Patrick is not the kind of guy that just doesn't want to perfect, what he does, and that's really important. So that's cool.
Be honest though, after Tampa, you want to fire Patrick, didn't you?
Never. Do you know what?
I'm just joking.
Never. I'll be honest though, no, because I've been there, man. We've all like.
I know. I'm just joking around. I know.
I know. But I will explain to the people who don't get it. Like, shit don't always go your way. Stress is a big thing. Yep. Bodybuilding is very pressurized, and we're our own worst enemy. And at times, if we can't get a grip of our own shit, our body won't do anything we tell it to do.
Yeah, agree.
That's it. That's what it is.
All right, guys. On that note, we're gonna wrap up, and I'll see you guys maybe for Bodybuilding Bollocks, or I'm sure we'll be on again at some time soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Okay, gentlemen. Take it easy.
Take care, guys.
You guys.
Bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and like the video. And if you get a chance, check out the description for all the different links to all the different places you can find Hostile and myself. And lastly, check out hostile.com for our new line of supplements and all of our apparel and gear. Thanks again for watching.